When the pussy clot now follow me from one, yes, the blood clot borrow. To protect your soul.
I'll be booking them like Palace, puffing on my chalice. True say I'm an addict, 24 Cali, don't make me have to grab it. Cabbage, niggas can't manage. That's another slapping niggas thinking.
You need ventilators for more than a couple of hours. So I got a call. Is it okay we take that?
Go ahead.
Hello?
Hello.
All right, SHALAM. This is the sister that had the COVID-19.
Yeah, that's correct.
All right, sorry, sir. Can you hear the sister correct, sir?
Yeah, I hear her real clear.
Okay, so I know you don't want to give your name and so forth. So this is a sister that had the COVID-19. Could you tell me how the COVID-19? You know, everyone knows about COVID-19. You want lockdown for it. Could you tell me your experience with COVID-19? Like, you know, how it felt. How it felt. How was the government good to you? Was the healthcare that you received, was it good? Did it help you during this?
Well, to be fair, I personally work within the healthcare profession, which is how I contracted it.
Okay, so the sister says she works for the NHS and that's how she got it in the first place. So hold on, I thought they were meant to be giving you PPE, protective personal equipment.
You do have protective.
So let's stop it there. So you went for the NHS.
Yeah.
They were meant to make sure you don't get it in the first place. So how did that happen?
Well, just with anything, it can't be completely ruled out.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, you will be exposed to the virus, just like anybody.
Okay, then I hear that. So basically, so what you're telling me is, so all these people that's wearing face masks and aprons, are they basically wearing that in vain? Then is that what you're telling me?
Not in vain. It minimizes.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't completely eradicate.
So like you say, if you want to chime in.
Yeah, I'm listening to what she's saying. I understand what she's saying. She's saying, SHALAM is also too. I want to be rude, but it seems like what you're saying is that is not that it doesn't stop the virus, and it's not a useless tactic, but it minimizes transfer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what she's saying, sir.
That's correct.
It makes sense, but nevertheless, because you know, if you're essentially in a working environment with different people coming and going every day, it's kind of hard to minimize transfer because you're being exposed all the way around, regardless, right?
Yes.
I got you. If I could ask you too, sis, and I want to say, thanks again for calling in. A lot of people, wouldn't like to, call in and say, okay, they had the coronavirus or the COVID-19. But I think, especially for us as Black people, we need to talk about stuff that happens in our community so we learn from it from each other. Because we can't really rely on our oppressor to help us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if I could ask you, like, okay, how was it with the symptoms when you first got it?
They kind of came out of nowhere. It was just, I had the cough that came out of nowhere. I had no warning. I was on shift. I started coughing. I continued the shift. One of the nurses gave me some paracetamol because I had a headache. I went home and came back the next day. I still had the cough. And I got sent home then because I felt really unwell. And since then, I've been off.
I got you. And okay, now with that said, like, how was the treatment from your employers as you were off? Like,
from the manager, who at this time you're having to be referred from your manager in order to be tested. They're not actually testing key workers at that point, but now they are. So anybody that's a key worker now can actually be tested, and their family.
I got you. So initially, they wasn't even bothering to do it. They just, you an essential worker or a key worker, and they want you to come to the job, come to the slavery and perform. In other words, they want you to pick cotton regardless of what's going on in the field.
Yes.
This is the oppressor we work on. This is the oppressor we work under. Meanwhile, like they spending $16 billion on something that did not even work, and which is why, like, okay, like this coronavirus is a blessing to us all, and even though I know, sis, you probably saw. Say that again.
I definitely agree with what you said. I think it is a blessing.
You see, and she had it. You know, that should tell you something. Come on, you're sticking, man. Come on, Ak. Going away by your testimony there.
I'm overwhelmed. Lucky.
I feel you, brother, but overwhelm me with some effect. Says, let me ask you, from your point of view, I'll give my perspective after, which is, of course, from our organization, the Israelite School of UPK. But from your point of view, sis, why you say it is a blessing? Like, well, what happened that made you realize this is a good thing?
I think in myself, I've been able to use this time to self-reflect. I feel like the world is healing, nature's healing, and the air is cleaner, there's less pollution, there's lots of stuff going on. I've been able to focus on myself a lot more, instead of doing the same routine and having to work. That's what I think. I feel like I've been able to heal and have a think, and self-reflect on how I'm living, how to live better, how to be more healthy. And I feel like if I wasn't given this chance, I probably wouldn't have been able to do it.
You wouldn't be able to do anything. That's the truth. And it says if
I 24/7, you know what I mean? So it never stops.
Right. I know what you mean. That's how life is for us, because we are the slaves of this empire. Whether you're in America, whether you're in England, whether you're in Netherlands, in the Caribbean, we all are slaves under our oppressor, and our days are longer than his days, and our checks are shorter than his checks. So let me ask you this too, sis. Do you have children?
I don't have any children. I have a partner.
You're married.
And also that's been it's been a big impact, because obviously feeling that I already work in a infectious environment with sickly people on a daily, so to be able to think that I'm putting him at danger is really a big burden that I'm carrying.
It's stressful. It's mentally stressful, which is another thing that our oppressor is not ever addressing. Like, they're talking about all the physical ailments, the symptoms, how bad it could get. But then say again?
Everything I'd say, psychological, emotional, and strain of the virus as well, the isolation itself.
Exactly.
It's a big burden as well. It's something that you're battling every day. And it can't be silly.
Exactly. It's a mental strain. But they look at us, our oppressor, this so-called European, this white man who rules over us, right? Their medical field was based in slavery. It was based on experiments on the slaves, cutting slave women open. Like, I always reference this doctor called J. Marion Sims, right? He's a doctor that's both known in the Western and Eastern Hemisphere, because at one time his practices were so horrendous that they would not allow him to practice in America, and he went to England. And then he came back to America, and he helped found that medical company called Pfizer, which is a pharmaceutical company. But this doctor, J. Marion Sims, he is accredited as the father of modern gynecology, right? That OBGYN that the world has today, that women of all races go to, is attributed to the abuse the slaves had to go through under him, where he would cut women open in the name of science to study their insides. And that's how you have modern gynecology. All his tools that they use today is what he used on women without anesthesia. So now, coming from that background, our oppressor, his mentality towards us and this is documented everywhere. This is kind of almost common knowledge that Black people, the descendants of slaves, have a higher threshold of pain than the average so-called white person. So from back then, they would say he's not really hurt or she's not really hurt. They're like animals. They could take pain. And from that, it gendered the type of thought pattern of not prescribing pain medicine to us, not being considerate when our lives are at risk. But when it comes to them, they get time off, they get pain medicine. And I'm sure you all heard of the opioid epidemic, where white people was being hooked on prescription drugs. That comes from that. They wouldn't give us the medicine when we're really in pain and we have to go to work and clean the floors and drive the buses in full out pain. But their little sons and daughters have a scratch and they get prescription medicine and now they become drug addicts. It's the same premise as to why they force us to be essential workers and go in there. And then after you realize that Black people are starting to suffer more from this coronavirus or this COVID-19 than the average white person, it's not because we are more susceptible to it physically, but because we are the slaves of this empire. And the things they force us to do and put up with and then deny us proper medical care, it makes it worse. It's like you shoot a white person, they go and they get the bullet removed and get medical care. You shoot a Black person and you put a plaster on it, give him paracetamol and send him home. Who's going to die?
Yeah.
The Black person. It doesn't mean that we are weaker or that bullets affect us more. It's because we are really the slaves of this empire. And what you said is that, you know, you're working so long and, you know, now they're making you work and you might infect your husband. You might go home one day and he might get it. And just that mental stress is enough to send you insane. But yet still, we are forced to function in this society as normal as could be. That is absolute insanity.
That's right.
You know, it's true, but it's exactly how I felt. I didn't feel right. However, I felt like I needed to go in the next day in order to show them that I was actually that ill, that I couldn't work.
Exactly.
I felt like I needed to show them. I couldn't just phone in and say, I'm not well enough to work, because I didn't think they would believe me and it would affect my pay.
Right. And now you should not have to make that decision after 400 years of slavery to build the queen her throne. You shouldn't have to make that decision after sacrificing your grandparents in the Windrush to rebuild their country. You should be able to say, listen, I think I may have the coronavirus. I'm sick. I'm calling in. No, but because of their society and their culture, they say we lazy and we don't like to work. So you know if you call in, they're going to say you're making it up and that they're going to dock your hours. So now you have to take your sick self into your community, stand at the bus stop, possibly infect other people, get on the bus, infect the driver, infect passengers, get off the bus, infect the security guard, just to show them that you're sick. And then you leave 10 people in your wake, and then they turn around and blame us for spreading the coronavirus when it's just because we live under their oppressive empire. When Sally and Emma and Becky could just call in, and half of them don't even call. They send an email. They send an email and say, I'm sick. And that's that. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Sucks if I may.
Go ahead.
This is just like slavery. In slavery, the Black woman will have a baby and she'll be back on the plantation for tomorrow, the next day. And it's like,
wow.
It's like, what more does a Black person need to get there for work? Like, do we have to be dead? Do we have to have one leg bleeding
I feel that way.
For our president to say, you know what? I think you need to have work, you know. Corona, and we feel bad for not going to work. Like, oh shit, what's the word coming to that? We feel bad that we are sick. That's how rough it's becoming.
That's how rough it is. Imagine you sick. And listen, I've heard the symptoms vary from the coughing to the headaches to dysphoria, meaning you dizzy and you passing out, to diarrhea, vomiting, to can't breathe. Imagine you going through that whole spectrum of symptoms and the only thing on your mind is not to go get some rest, is not to drink some water, is not to go to the hospital, but let me call my slave master to ask for a day off. Brother, that's the only thing on your mind.
That's how it is.
Say that again?
I said it sounds ridiculous, but that's exactly how the system is.
That's exactly how it is. And listen, if I could, I don't know how much of what you know about the brothers in Birmingham with Captain Parashti and Officer Karafi and Officer Dumgaba and what we do at the I.S.U.P.K. But this is why we are so extreme about our job. We are so extreme about, the Bible and the laws and obeying the Lord, because our people living in a crazy house thinking it's normal. Like, you see how she just said, like how you just said, it's crazy, but that's how it is. It's like we are trained to accept that as being normal. When that is not normal, that is absolutely not normal for somebody to do. And the fact that we have to go through it after serving them, I could damn near half understand it if we were rebellious towards them and we fought them and killed their people and they conquered us. But we only served this empire. We all served them. Our mothers served them. Our fathers served them. We serving them till this very day.
Yes.
But still, they would look at us like, oh, you calling in because Boris say stay home, not because you sick. Because it's absolute. How do I know Boris sick? Maybe Boris lying.
God.
Maybe that old heavy voice, crackhead looking prime minister you all got is lying.
Don't get the hair, sir.
Listen,
his hair's all fucked up.
And his hair, an old mop head. Maybe he should come into work and get on TV and show us all that he's sick. How about that? But that doesn't happen for them. Boris just say, yo, I'm sick, I'm quarantining. We don't know if he's sick. Boris could be in Ibiza right now. Right now. You get the point? The other one, the minister in the NHS, he say he not taking a pay cut, he'll work longer hours. Who see you working, nigga? Unless you come in and clock in your card in front of me, I don't know you're working.
That's right.
I have to take your word for it, but you can't take mine. My woman had to go out 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning and catch the bus, and the buses ain't even running regular hours. The bus is running once every hour. You reach late for the bus, you late for work. So now you're late and you're faking sick, and you have to go prove you're sick. You see how crazy this shit is? It's crazy. It's literally crazy, bro. It's crazy, sis. And listen, sis, I thank you for calling in for sure and letting us know firsthand of your experience. And I pray you and every other Black and Hispanic person in the UK find the I.S.U.P.K. so our eyes could be opened. Because the things you said is actually true about having rest. You didn't have the stress on your mind. You was able to, spend time with your husband more. Is he an essential worker, or was he able to be home with you as well?
Sorry?
I say your husband, was he an essential worker, or was he able to be home with you as well?
And no, he's a chef, so he's been off for a little while as well.
Good.
I'm working.
That's good. Listen, it's good he's off, and it's good you got some time off because you all needed it. And listen, say again. Say that part again, sir.
We're stronger as a couple having this
Give her a hand, man. Give her a hand. Listen, you see why the Muslim woman mad at the Mercedes girl? You see why, Karathia? You see why? Because this is the type of woman we have in our nation. Okay, sis, I don't know how much you know about us again, but according to the Bible, we believe the God we serve is in control of everything. That Satan doesn't control anything, but Satan works for the Lord. And evil what we consider evil is the Lord wills it to happen. And we believe the Lord brought this plague because it's prophesied in the Bible. He brought plagues in Egypt when we were slaves in Egypt. Under Moses, a ton of plagues with Pharaoh. And it was because Pharaoh did not want to give us rest from our labor for 3 days. We asked Pharaoh for 3 days rest so we could go serve the Lord. Pharaoh said no. And then the Lord brought the plagues and gave us rest. This plague of this coronavirus was designed for you and your husband to get closer.
That's right.
You understand?
Yeah, I need it.
This for you. The Lord did this for you. Now look at the flip side. You and your husband are both descendants of slaves that served this empire. And in this quarantine, you and your husband got closer. Meanwhile, we just read a story about Tony, who murdered his wife for 44 years in the quarantine.
That's right.
There's two old white people, two old oppressors. One is 69, one is 70. No, 69 and 67. And they got in an argument. And instead of finishing the argument with, you know, Karate, what does he like to drink? Magnum and Guinness?
Oh, white people usually Heineken, Stella.
Instead of finishing the argument with some, you know, some Moscato and Netflix and chill, Tony murdered his wife. But you and your husband was able to get closer in the spirit of the Lord. Blessing from the Lord. It's a blessing to get sick. And this is the type of empire we live in, where the only time we could get rest is when we get sick. Like black people are famous for, you know, yeah, man, if I get hit, if I get into an accident, it would be good because I could get some money. You know, if I slip and fall and break my foot, I ain't gonna be mad because I could get some money. But meanwhile, our oppressor, he gets sick. He wants to go back to work because he needs to make money. We need to rest.
Yes.
Our life is so full of labor. It's so full of serving them. We don't get no rest. We serve them so much, they get to rest their whole life. Well, now the tables is turning. Now they don't get to rest. Now the minister of NHS, he got to work 24 hours while this sister gets to lay up in the bed with her husband.
That's right.
That's right.
That is what we serve. Go on, sis. Go lay up with that brother and make some babies, man. Come on, man. Get that baby.